Today's video starts on page 1 in your new 3B packets, factoring and translating expressions. Page 1 is the problem of the day. The direction says expand each expression. That means distribute the coefficient out front of the parentheses. So do the distributive property, get an expression. The second part, state whether each pair of expressions are equivalent. So distribute in the first expression. Does it equal the second expression? Yes or no? On to page 2. So expanding and factoring algebraic expressions. Use the distributive property to expand the algebraic expression. So expanding 2 times the quantity r plus 8 means 2 groups of r plus 8. And you can see it's bar modeled here. You have 2 groups of r. There's your 2 r's, right? 2 r's and 2 8's. So you get 2r plus 16. 2r plus 16 is the expanded form of 2r plus 8. And this note up here says 2 times the quantity r plus 8 and 2r plus 16 are equivalent expressions because they are equal for all values of r. So if I put an r into 2 times the quantity r plus 8, say it's 2, well, 2 plus 8 is 10. 2 times 10 is 20. And yes, 2 times 2, so if I put the 2 here, plus 16, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 16 also equals 20. If I put a 6 in, I'm going to get 28 is 28 for both of the expressions. Letter B here says expand 3 times the quantity x plus 6. So 3 times the quantity x plus 6 means 3 groups of x and 6. So an x and a 6, an x and a 6, an x and a 6. Putting like things together, you get 3k's, and 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 3 times 6 is 18. So 3k plus 18 is the expanded form of 3 times the quantity x plus 6. And this note here also says that they are equivalent because they are equal to each other for all values of k. That's important. Page 3. Little hands-on activity says, draw a rectangle that is 8 centimeters wide and more than 3 centimeters long on a piece of paper. Then cut out the rectangle. So there it is. Find the area of the rectangle in terms of P. Okay, so in terms of P means I'm going to distribute 8, find this area, so area equals length times width, and I'm going to distribute that 8 to the P plus 3. So in terms of P, meaning there's going to be a P in the answer. So yes, I get 8 P's and 24. And I'm going to put parentheses around that, centimeters squared. Now it says, then cut the rectangle into rectangles A and B. So A is the rectangle 8 times P, right? Length times width. So I have just the P and the 8. And B's rectangle's area, length times width, would be 8 times 3, or what's 24, right? So A, find the areas of them, so I did. Using your answers found in 2 through steps 4, state how these areas are related. Well, if I cut the rectangle into the parts, I'm going to get, if I add A and B together, A plus B, which is the whole rectangle, I'm going to get 8P plus 24, right, centimeters squared, which is the answer that I got in number 2. So they're just showing you that you could take this P and 3 and split it into P plus 3. Okay, next page. Factoring out a common factor. Ooh, so now we're basically going to undistribute. So think of what goes into 8x plus 20, so the 8 and the 20 evenly. And it is a 4 that goes into that. So when you factor out the 4 out of both parts, you get 2x plus 5 left over, right? So if I factor it out, I'm going to have 2x plus 5. So showing that you can distribute, oh, they had a 4 in common, so what I divided by goes out front, and yes, if I redistribute this, I'm going to get 4 times 2x is 8x, and 4 times 5 is 20. So the next example, they're saying, oh, 6a and negative 30. Well, yeah, they have a 2 in common. If I take a 2 out of both parts, I'm going to get 3a. 6a is divided by 2 is 3. And negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15. And I can check, yep, 2 times 3a's, that's 6a's, and 2 times negative 15. Yep, I'm going to get back to negative 30. But what do you know? 6a and negative 30 also has a 3 in common. So if I take a 3 out of both parts of the term, I'm going to get 6a's divided by 3, I get 2a's. And negative 30 divided by 3, I get negative 10. Then I redistribute that. 3 times 2a, I get 6a's. And 3 times negative 10, I get negative 30. But the largest one, the greatest common factor that they have in common is the 6, because that is their GCF. So you're going to see it was kind of silly to take out a 2 and a 3, because we always want to take out the greatest common factor. And if I take a 6 out of both of those, I get just a, because 6a divided by 6 is just a, and negative 30 divided by 6 would give me negative 5. And if I redistribute to check did I factor it correctly, I get 6a's and yes, negative 30. There's my little check. So let's practice this. What does 4x and negative 32 have in common? Oh, they have a 4 in common. So I'm going to put that 4 out in front of a pair of parentheses. I'm factoring. I'm making it look like the distributive property after I take out the common factor. So 4x divided by 4 just gives me the x. The 4's cancel. And negative 32 divided by 4 gives me that negative 8. And yes, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times negative 8, negative 32. 3a and negative 12. Well, they have 3 in common. So I'm going to put my 3 out in front, and I'm going to multiply 3 divided by 3 is 1, so 1a. I could put 1a here, or not, or just a. And negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And yes, 3 times a is 3a, and 3 times negative 4, negative 12. Ooh, a trinomial. 5x, negative 5y, and 10. Do they all have something in common? Yes, they have a 5 in common. So I'm going to take that 5, a factor of 5, out of each of those terms. And those cancel, and I get x, and ooh, negative 5 divided by positive 5 is going to give me negative y, or negative 1. You can put the 1s. You can put a 1 here, you can put a 1 here. I usually don't. And positive 10 divided by 5 is positive 2, going along that z. Yes, 5 times x, 5x. 5 times negative y, negative 5y. 5 times 2, 10 z's. So the next one, oh, 7x, 7y. Oh, they all have 7, right? That one was easy. They all have 7, so I'm going to pull that 7 out front. I get an x, a negative y, and a negative z. Ooh, interesting. They all come out to be 1s, right? 7 sevenths is 1. 6, 18, and 12. They have a 3 in common. Oh, they all have 6 in common. 6, 6, and 6. So 6 times the quantity a minus 3 b's and 2 c's. Why don't you try this one on your own? I'm going to leave that one for you to do on page 4. We'll go over that. Let's go to the next page. Ooh, watch out for the negatives. An expression is not factored completely if the variable has a negative on it. Not factored completely. Negative x and negative 2 is not factored completely because x has a negative 1 attached to it. The final factor in answers has to have the variable without anything else attached. So positive 1's okay, but negative 1 is not. So negative x and negative 2 do have a negative 1 in common. So you could pull that out. And notice they don't write negative 1 here. They just wrote negative. right? Just a negative times the quantity x plus 2. So let's try this one. Negative 4x and negative 12. They have a negative 4 in common. So I pull that out and I get x, and negative 12 divided by negative 4 is positive 3. Isn't that interesting? They become their opposite. So their GCF is negative 4. Factor out that negative 4 from each term and completely factor. Negative 5x and negative 3, what do they have in common? Ooh, just negative 1. So negative 1 or not. You can just not put that and just put a negative out front. And you get positive 5x and positive 3. Oh, they became their opposite. Yes, that makes sense. Number 2. Oh, these have a negative. Well, they don't have negative 5 in common, but the first term can't be negative, so you have to take out negative 5. So those negative 5's cancel, and we get x, and 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. Number 3, they have negative 7 in common. Oh, not in common, but they have a 7 in common, but you got to take out the negative. Got to be careful saying that. Negative 7, and that's going to be x plus 5. Not plus 5. No, no, no. Positive 35 divided by negative 7 is negative 5. Ooh, be careful. And number 4, 8 and 9 are relatively prime, so their GCF is 1, but we've got to take out that negative, so negative 1. So negative 1 or negative x, or just, oh, not negative x, negative 1 or just a negative. Oh, I'll do negative 1 this time. And we get, ooh, x. Positive 9 divided by negative 1 is negative 9. Ooh, careful with those negatives. And that's it for today's video.